brother. I'd like to center my remarks today on the grace of Central Falls students, current and former. A while back, I went to a demonstration when we were asking for more support for our schools, and I held up a sign that said, "You're lucky that they're asking for equity and not for revenge." You see, young people are astute observers, and they have a keen eye for injustice and inequality. And so I know that for generations now, kids have spent their entire youth going on field trips, playing in auditoriums or gyms, chess matches, debate leagues, and seeing that the facilities that they had were less than the facilities of some of their neighboring towns and cities. And they weren't angry, like I might be. They weren't spiteful or feeling vengeful, like I might. Instead, when you talk to them, what they said was they simply wanted better for their kids, for the younger brothers and sisters, for their nieces and nephews. And the former students, many of whom still reside in the city, are the same people that were working relentlessly during the pandemic to keep us going. And if we learned anything during the pandemic, it's how interrelated our survival is, how codependent we all are. So the people who were taking care of the seniors that we were saying we couldn't go see, many of them live in Central Falls. The people who were working at the grocery stores and who were working at Dunkin' Donuts, keeping it moving. Many of them were the parents and the uncles and the grandparents and aunts of our students. In fact, I know for sure that many of them were our students themselves. Some of whom work 30, 40 hours a week on top of going to school full time. And those kids, they know that they've had less for decades. And again, they're not angry. They're not spiteful. They just want something better for the next generation. So I live in perpetual awe of the grace exhibited by Central Falls students. I thank all the people who have come together to take one small step to start fixing this wrong. To realize and recognize that outside of the kind of abstract all youth are our future, that these kids are our future. That these kids are the kids of the working class, that these kids will go on to take jobs whose income tax revenue will support the benefits that we all get access to, whether that be through Social Security or through Medicare. And so if we systematically undereducate them and give them less than, then we will only be shooting ourselves in the foot by doing so. And so today, we work on their facilities, we make them a little better, because we know that that will give them better opportunities, that hopefully give them a better life, and that don't plant the seeds of resentment that are so easy to grow if we're not more careful about how we treat those that have less than. So I thank the governor's office, the treasurer's office for finding a way around some detailed intricacies of financing, the mayor's office for being relentless, the Central Falls City Council for always doing the hard work behind closed doors that people don't always get to see, the General Assembly, the Home Finance Committee, which I'm a part of, and my colleague, Senator Acosta. But most of all, I thank the Central Falls students, again, current and former, for all the grace that they have shown and that they continue to show, despite insurmountable odds. So thank you all. I look forward to cutting the ribbon on this school, and now I'll introduce you to my colleague in the General Assembly, Red McLaughlin.
Yo! So I'm standing here with Senator Jonathon Acosta, he of the Senate District 4, representing Central, I'm sorry?
16.
16, geez.
That's all right.
All right, 16, I got representing part of Pawtucket and Central Falls as well. We're at Central Falls High School where an announcement was made regarding legislation that had been passed, some adjustments and some financing requirements necessary to begin construction of a new high school for Central Falls. Now, this is my first time in the building. I've been outside of it for events 1,000 times. I will tell you, while the building is well kept for its age, it's old and it's tired. And I've got to ask you the question, and your speech was particularly stirring, and I hope we got a good shot of it on video, because I'd love to replay it. But in the year 2021, why the hell do we need to twist arms to get legislation to get these children a legitimate high school, and why are legislators acting like they're proud of that?
Yeah, so I'd say, at least two things regarding that. One is that while we did a lot of work around the school funding formula and moving the funding from being locally sourced, disproportionately locally sourced, to more state redistributed, and increasing the state share for the direct school funding, we didn't do something like that for the school buildings. And so this is kind of like the next logical step, but it came 10 years later. And it's not, in my remarks, I do talk very poignantly about Central Falls specifically, but the reality is that there's a lot of buildings in our state that are outdated and that need to be remodeled or tore down and rebuilt. And CF, I think, is just a kind of an extreme case of that.
It's the attitude, if you will, the managerial attitude, that's me, of the Coalition Radio Network, that all kids are superstars, they all have superpowers. It's really up to the adults in their lives, or those people purportedly acting as adults, to find a path so that those children can realize those superpowers. I stand in a school like this, having spent a lot of time in South Kingston earlier this year, and the disparity is, well, I'll use astonishing, because this is family radio. And that, as you point out, is a testament to, my interpretation is that it's a testament to the priorities of this state. If you put children in older buildings that are physically incapable of being adapted for newer technologies, can we expect success?
Absolutely not. And I think that's what we've seen for such a long time. And again, CF, I think, is an extreme case, but that's true about other cities and towns around our state. I think that we need to be investing in our kids. We need to see it, regardless of whether it's in our exact town where we live, thinking about this from a state mentality, that the success of a kid in South County or in Central Falls or in Barrington is my success. Because at the end of the day, right, like that student doing well, becoming a professional and contributing to society through their personal lives, but also through their just straight tax revenue, is something that should interest me. It's something that would be good for my life, for your life, for all of our lives. And we haven't been thinking that way. We've been thinking way too provincial, and we need to start thinking more state level.
Central Falls economically, we've focused on as a network in the last month or so, and there are clearly, as they say on Wall Street, green shoots. If you walk up and down Broad Street, you'll see family businesses flourishing, restaurants, retail, small retail, the kind of small city environment that a lot of cities have left behind, sadly. Is this just really the last piece of the puzzle to create an environment where Central Falls can thrive?
I don't think it's the last piece, but I think it's a big piece.
What else do you think is important to have?
Well, I think we need to rethink some of our housing stock, and so lead has become an increasingly important part of the agenda. It's been a problem for decades, but it's one that we're starting to confront head on now. And so we know that our housing stock is poisoning many of our residents and their kids specifically. And so we need to work on that at the same time as we're working on improving these schools.
Thank you for joining us today. We hope you won't be a stranger in the future. And we're particularly keen on tracking the path of Central Falls as it sort of emerges from the shadows of prior administrations, corruptions, incompetence, all the while surrounded by a really diverse, wonderful set of people. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Have a great day.